welcome back. I'm Courtney, and this is the Accounting Struggle, where we speak about our struggles with accounting openly and honestly. We do not run from them. In today's video, I want to talk to you about office politics. So first of all, thank you to user Hurricane08 for suggesting this topic. He asked that I talk about like office politics, even though this is not specific to just accounting. I guess this is more so working in any type of office setting. There are office politics, and that is definitely a real thing. So today we're going to get into some things. Okay, so before we get started, if you're new here, welcome. Hi, I'm Courtney. And if you're returning, of course, thank you guys so much for being here again. Don't know what's bringing you back week after week at this point, but it is appreciated. So, okay, so first let's talk a little bit about favorites. So every office, usually there are favorites or people who are working to be the favorite. You can always kind of spot them. You can tell they're always in early. They stay late when it's completely unnecessary. It's like, okay, girl, aren't you done yet? They are always going like, they just have certain behavioral traits, right? And maybe that's you. Shout out to you if you're a favorite or you're trying to be a favorite. But there are some people who you can sense certain behavioral patterns from them. They're trying to be the favorite. They want to be the person who's always thought of. When an opportunity comes up, they want to be thought of first. So let's say you work in an office and there are 5 people who kind of are on the same level as you, and you have the same report. You know, all of you report to the same individual, and every now and again these one-off opportunities come up, and you feel like you are often not the person that's selected for those, and you're just like, what can I do to like be better, or what can I do to I don't feel like I'm getting the same preferential treatment. These people, they just have different personalities than me. They're a little bit more bubbly. They do a lot of extra stuff within the office, like they're on the freaking office soccer team. They go to all the happy hours. That's just not my lifestyle, and that's just not something that I'm doing. But how can I still stand out at work? If that's something that you're questioning, without having to do all the extra social stuff, I feel like if you are super dependable, like your work, we can always count on your work to be done at a high level. It's done timely. You're super dependable. Anytime someone is expecting you to deliver, you deliver. If those are your characteristics and those are the things that you're bringing to the table from a work perspective, then it doesn't really matter if you're not the favorite. Like, favorites, that's cool too. I get it. I understand that those have their advantages, but if your work is so high quality, people are going to want to keep you around. This is just my observation from having several years of work experience. I've worked with people who weren't super pleasant or they weren't great people to be around, and they certainly were not favorites, but they got the job done. What I'm saying is there are often going to be times where you feel like socially you're not doing all the extra stuff, so it just kind of counts you out. But if your work is high quality, if you're super dependable, you're extremely consistent, then those are characteristics that will continue to carry you through. So you don't need to be a favorite, and that shouldn't even be a focus for you if you know that you're delivering on your work. Now, just to be clear, that's not to say that you should be a terror to work with, but I'm speaking specifically to individuals who feel like, gosh, I'm just not at that place in life where I can be doing all the extra committees and doing all the extra fun social stuff, and I feel like I don't have a personal connection to some of my direct reports or the people, you know, whom I report to. However, I still want them to be considering me and bringing my name up at the roundtable meetings when it's time. So if that's where you are, just focus on delivering and doing high quality work. And when it's time to talk about money and getting paid and getting your just due, those are things that are going to factor into it. So I do want to point out there are some advantages, and being a favorite is not necessarily like a bad thing. There are some advantages to having good relationships with the people who can bring you into other rooms. So do take advantage of opportunities to get to know other people that you work around. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to pretend to be something that you're not, or be some Like, you don't have to be extra or be fake, but I do think that if you have an opportunity to get to know people, like, let's say you're randomly paired with someone in your office and you're like, I don't know how they paired me to go do this thing with this person. I don't even know why they would have ever thought that was a good idea. Take advantage of those moments, because you could establish a relationship that would potentially down the line lead to some other really great opportunity where that person could maybe like give you your next big break for something really important. It happens all the time. People definitely want to work with people that they know and that they like and enjoy. So do keep that do keep that in the back of your mind. Being favorites and having good relationships with people is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that you also want to really focus on the quality of your work, because that's also going to take you far. Now, one thing you want to stay away from when it comes to office politics is gossip. Now, we love a good tea. We do. However, when it comes to work, I personally am not invested enough in anyone's personal lives to be caring about what they have going on, and that's just me. So when it comes to like me actually gossiping and being like, girl, you ain't gonna believe, it's not my thing. Not for work. I love a good tea. I love a good blog. I love a good gossip column. But, at work, it's just not worth it. So don't be the person who's like, spreading rumors or telling or repeating information that was repeated to you in confidence, or telling people's business. That's really not a good look for you. It says a lot more about you than it does about the person who you are talking about or discussing. And at this point in life, I just feel like you should pause and think like, how is this helping me though? Like, am I getting paid for this? Like, what is the reason for this conversation? So if there isn't one, probably not worth having. So that's just my own little philosophy on gossiping at work. And also, if you know people's personal lives and their personal business at work, like, you might be too invested. You might want to just back up just a touch. So yeah, don't involve yourself in gossip that goes on at work. Don't even just listening to it and partaking in it and being like, what? For real? And then what did you say? And then, well, who said that? Who said that? Don't go into all of that stuff, because it can really get you into a lot of trouble down the line. You do not want your name being brought up in a conversation about what Courtney said, John said. You don't want your name to be involved or tied up in anything that is perceived as negative. And so I would just stay away from gossip altogether when it comes to the office. Now, when we're talking about celebrities, I'm here for it. Call me, let's chat. So if you feel like you're being overlooked at work for opportunities that you feel you absolutely deserve, like maybe a promotion because of things like, again, like we already discussed, favorites, or if you feel like you're not being treated fairly and you feel like it's an office politics kind of thing, you feel like it's just, oh, well, they just don't like me personally because I just, whatever, for whatever reason. If you know that you're well deserving of something and your work demonstrates a certain value to where you qualified to do something, and that all the qualifications are met, all the skill sets are there, and you're just not getting the opportunity, and someone who is not of your same level of skills are getting these other opportunities. In those types of instances, you want to document everything. You want to keep a good record of any type of certificates you have, any new education or trainings that you've taken that have added to your skill set, any jobs that you go up for, that you interview for. It doesn't mean that you're entitled to something just because you qualify for it. However, if you feel like there's a pattern of you not being able to get opportunities that you feel like you are absolutely worthy of, demonstrate why you feel like you are worthy of those things in writing and document it all. And I feel like after some time and you've built up enough of a case, put these in what I like to call the Perm Files. So this is something that you're documenting, you're keeping a record of, you have all of this like background and training that you can show, like, hey, I felt like I really deserved this opportunity, or I felt like I really qualified to be considered as a candidate for this opportunity, and it seems as though I'm not being considered. Those are some things that you can bring to your manager or whoever it is that you report to when you have your evaluations, and not in a, hey, what's up with that? Why y'all didn't ask me to do the interview? Why didn't I get promoted? That's not the approach. But you really want to be able to speak to, it looks like I have done these trainings and I qualified and I met all of the criteria There's a meme for this. I met the criteria and I was not selected. And I'm just wondering what things I can do to improve, or if there's anything that you can, any feedback that you can give me that will help me improve so that I have a better chance at it going forward. So that way you can get valuable feedback, because 9 times out of 10 there is something that you could be missing. I mean, it could be them, it could be an office politics thing, but I do think that this is a great opportunity to learn where you might be missing out. And if you go through and you adjust those things and you document that as well, like, hey, I spoke to this person and on this date we had an evaluation discussion and these were the key points, I implemented these changes, and it still seems that I'm not getting where I need to be. At that point, baby, why are you still there? You know what I would say? Don't go where you're going to be tolerated. Go where you will be celebrated and appreciated. So if you have a series of opportunities where you're just not getting considered, you're not being treated fairly, and you feel like you have absolutely met all the criteria, not just because it's your opinion, but because you actually have done the work of documenting. You're looking at the job description and you're looking at your resume and everything is line for line the same. Ask someone else. Ask someone else for a job. There are a lot of jobs out here. You don't have to stay at the same place. So that's my advice on that. So one other thing that really is a huge topic when it comes to office politics. Okay, so navigating the whole like representation outside of work thing, we need to address. Let's talk about it. So I was on TikTok yesterday, and this user, her name is Sarah Aida Cecilia, I believe. If I can find the clip, I will insert it here.
So one of my coworkers pinged me and they were like, oh my God, I found you on TikTok. You and your husband are so funny. And I'm like, because it's like weird when your coworkers find you. It's weird. If you're a coworker and you find me, it's a little strange. But I was like, oh yeah, you know, like we like making videos, haha. And she's like, yeah, you know, they're so funny. It's just, how aren't you embarrassed? I was like, embarrassed of what? Like, of all words. And she's like, yeah, you know, I just would feel so weird because like, you know, like we have like professionalism to keep up and da da da. And I'm like, what are you considering professionalism, girl? Because for me, professionalism is responsible, accountable, respectful. That's professionalism. What does talking on TikTok or like dancing, like how is that unprofessional? And she's like, oh, it's just, that's weird. That's like what I always thought. And I'm like, no, I think everyone needs to rethink their idea of professionalism. We can be ourselves.
First of all, why are you looking for me? Why are y'all looking for your coworkers on social media? Are you friends outside of work? If you're not friends outside of work, why are you requesting to be Facebook friends? Why are you outside of LinkedIn? LinkedIn is different. That's work. That's a social networking platform just for business. However, if we're talking about TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, any of those girls, why are you looking for your coworkers if y'all are not friends, if you don't have an established friendship? It's giving very much stalker. So do consider, if you're doing that and you're demonstrating that type of behavior, I want you to look within. Why are you wanting to see what your coworkers who you're not friends with, why do you want to see what they're doing on social media? That's just something to consider and ask yourself. But that was an aside. She basically has she's a dancer, and she has all these videos of her dancing. A ton of videos, like dancing. She has a lot of funny videos, just skits and things like that. Things that are not, they don't say, hi, I work in corporate America. But should they? And so I feel like it's time for us to address this. Now, I probably have even given this advice before. Do keep in mind that when you're offline or when you're outside of work and you're online, your social media presence and whatever you post online is something that is going to be considered as a part of your overall brand. And while that is true, I don't think that it's fair. But I do think that it's one thing to be very clear on is when you are not inside of working hours, you don't have to represent your company. Now, with that being said, be careful how you link yourself to your company. So if you are wearing merch from your company, if you're wearing like a literal shirt that says Ernst & Young and you're like driving a boat, and I don't mean an actual boat, I mean like driving a boat tequila. Like, that's probably not going to sit well with Ernst & Young. They're going to feel like you're representing them, and that's not maybe the light they would want to be represented in. So there is a line to this. You do have to make sure that if you are going to live your life to the fullest outside of work, outside of working hours on social media, you can do that, but just make sure that you're not linking yourself back to whatever company you work for. So there are options on like Facebook and Instagram and all these other platforms to be able to say like where you work, who you work for. A lot of companies will even ask you to like retweet their stuff. I personally, not one of those girls. So if you are going to represent your company online, then yes, I say be making sure that whatever you're posting is in line with the overall brand message of the company, because you're not just sending your brand message. At that point, you're sending theirs. But if you're not linking yourself to the company, you're not wearing the merch, you do not have in your headline where you work, you don't have anything that's tying you back to that company. I mean, sure, there's some investigation that can happen that people would be like, oh, she works at this place. So like, I mean, if you're one of those racist trolls online, like, you deserve to be dragged. That's fine. But for people who are literally just, you know, if you're online doing what you want to do and you're posting funny memes and videos and things that are not necessarily fluffy and warm and fuzzy in an HR type of way or in a corporate type of way, but it's totally appropriate stuff to post on social media, I would just say be careful not to link yourself back to the company. But I absolutely feel like office politics make you feel, even in HR meetings or training, when you first come to a company, they start to say this stuff. You know, you're brand ambassador for our company, so, you know, everything you post online. I disagree with that. I think that if someone wants you to be a brand ambassador, they should be paying you to be a brand ambassador, but you get paid to do your work. And so as long as you're doing your work at work, when you're not at work, you're not getting paid to be a brand ambassador for your company. Unless, of course, you're getting paid to be a brand ambassador for your company. So with that being said, don't be a brand ambassador for your company. Don't link yourself back to the company if you're not willing to adhere to their branding. I think that's clear, but just in case we missed anything, if you work for Coca-Cola and you got on a Coca-Cola shirt and your Facebook information section says you work for Coca-Cola, if you're posting things that are not of the Coca-Cola brand or not something they would want to be associated with, i.e. things that are racist, homophobic, transphobic, anything with a phobia behind it, not a good idea. Don't do that. That's something that's not going to work out for you. Now, I would argue that you shouldn't be posting that kind of stuff anyway, because that's just not decent behavior. However, what I'm trying to say is if you are, you know, going to make a close friends on Instagram and you want to be twerking, you want to do the Bust It challenge, girl, have at it. Just make sure you're not doing the Bust It challenge in your, you know, KPMG t-shirt. That's all. So I think that's clear, and I hope that this helps. Again, office politics are something that come along with every single job. So my final recommendations are this. If you work in an office and you feel like you do great quality work, you're very consistent, you're very dependable, don't focus on anything but making sure you do great work. Solicit feedback that will help you if you are looking to get more opportunities to do things that are maybe you're getting overlooked for. Solicit feedback, see how that works out for you. If you implement the feedback and you still don't seem to be gaining any traction anywhere, consider working somewhere else. And also when it comes to gossip and things that are just not seen as a positive thing around the office, shy away from those things. And if you're going to do the Bust It challenge, don't do it in your work t-shirt. So that is all of my advice for today. I hope that you guys found this helpful. If you did, be sure and give it a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you guys for bearing with me. I don't know when I'm gonna post stuff. I'm all over the place. I don't have a set schedule yet. So turn on your post notifications if you want to see my videos. And yeah, that's it for today. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.